Good morning, everybody. Actually, while Adrian was introducing me, it came to mind that having been here for 40 years, 3 days ago I went to get fingerprinted to become a citizen. So excited about that. Kind of off topic, but part of my story. So, yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. The last time I gave a talk, a couple of days later, it popped up on YouTube, a picture of myself. So I decided I'd listen to myself, see what it sounded like. I couldn't understand the word. So that reminds me, slow down and try and speak clearly. So we'll take a second, be present, feet on the floor, look around, eyes open, take a breath, and I'll talk about the everyday monastery, the monastery that we all live in. We're all here on a Sunday morning. I believe, I think most of us do, this is a sacred space where we come and it's safe. It's good for our mind. It's good for the planet as a whole that we're all here together, sharing the Dharma. This is where the real Zen happens. Thich Nhat Hanh doesn't quite agree with that. He reminds us that if our mindfulness only works when we're in the Zen, there's silence, we're sitting on a cushion, the incense is burning. That our practice is dependent on conditions. And the real test is not in the Zen, it's when we're outside, when we go out the door, dealing with life. We live in the everyday world, the monks live in the monasteries, but our goals are the same. We want to wake to reality and be present to every moment. Everywhere outside the doors. That's our monastery. That's our monastery. This is our Zen. That's our monastery. This is where we meditate. That's where our work gets done. At home, in the kitchen, on the commute to work when somebody cuts you off. When you're on the L and somebody lights a cigarette, is talking on the telephone, screaming at people. Or when you're sitting down with your family, somebody knows how to push your buttons. Say exactly what you don't want to hear. If we can be awake and aware when these things are happening, then we are practicing Zen. If we lose our awareness out there, it doesn't matter how we sit when we come in here on Sundays. We could sit for 3 hours. And ultimately, each of us has to bring this practice into our own lives. Today, if I've got time, I'm going to talk about 2 teachings. The 5 Mindfulness Trainings, which Thich Nhat Hanh called the 5 Beautiful Precepts, and the 3 Jewels. In our Zen tradition, we practice 16 precepts. They came from the Chinese Chan tradition, where there were, I believe, 10 serious precepts and 14 not so serious precepts. I might have my numbers wrong. Ehe Dogen took those 24 and converted it to 16, the practice we live in. The precepts are not religious rules. They're tools for living wisely in the world that we live in today. And I'm going to focus on the traditional 5, which Thich Nhat Hanh reinterpreted as the 5 mindfulness trainings. Rather than presenting negativities, he framed the don'ts or nots into positive practices to cultivate awareness, compassion, and freedom for ourselves and others. This he called engaged Buddhism. A practice that doesn't run from society. Meditate when times get rough, but goes directly into the suffering. So we can see the 5 mindfulness trainings as guardrails. When you're driving along a mountain road, you want guardrails. Not because they're not restricting your driving. They keep you from driving off the edge. And these 5 trainings serve the same purpose. The first training is protecting life, not killing. Non-aggression. None of us, most likely, are going to commit murder. But speaking for myself, I have many times crushed people's confidence by saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. I used to, well, I still do, cut people down without thinking. Been rude to people in meetings. Passive aggressive to people. And a lot of self-criticism that destroyed my own self-worth for a long time. Protecting life means protecting the dignity and emotional safety of ourselves and everyone we encounter. The second training, practicing generosity, not stealing. This means refusing to take what has not been freely given. Today, I have the bad habit of stealing people's time. These are minutes from somebody's life that I can't give back. I keep people waiting. I'm too busy. I'll finish this before I do that. Showing up chronically late, I'm stealing time from another person's life that cannot be returned. Dumping my emotional burdens onto a friend without asking whether they have the capacity to listen can also take something from them. Practicing generosity means practicing boundaries and leaving every place, every situation, every relationship a little better than when we found it. The third training, not misusing sexuality, honoring trust. Thich Nhat Hanh reframed this precept around the integrity of relationships. It means refusing to treat another human being as an object for our own validation, distraction, or temporary pleasure. When trust is broken, suffering spreads far beyond the moment itself. Honoring trust means being honest, bringing transparency and commitment into our relationships. The fourth training, healing communication.
Can you say that again?
Healing communication. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm back into my Irish thing where nobody can, I can't understand myself. Thanks, Ken. Right speech is truthful, kind, direct, and free from manipulation. We try to avoid lying, gossip, exaggeration, and divisive speech. Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, before speaking, we can ask ourselves, is it true? Is it kind? And most of all, is it necessary? If something is true, but neither kind nor necessary, perhaps silence is the wisest choice. And the other part of this practice is listening, deep listening. Can I listen to somebody that I disagree with? Not getting ready for my response, but to really understand where they're coming from. Not to judge it, just to listen and understand. The fifth training, excuse me. Keeping a clear mind. Not using alcohol or drugs. Thich Nhat Hanh expands this greatly. An intoxicant is anything we consume that clouds our awareness or disconnects us from reality. It's alcohol and drugs, but it also includes social media, endless scrolling, staying up at night. It includes consuming sensationalized news that fills us with fear. Includes binge watching television simply to avoid loneliness or discomfort. Zen practice requires a clear mind. If our awareness is continually clouded by digital, emotional, or chemical consumption, it becomes very difficult to practice the other trainings. Knowing these 5 trainings is one thing. Living them is another. Speaking for myself, I know what it's like to lose my temper. Say something I shouldn't say. Consume mindlessly. Or simply forget that I'm a Zen practitioner. So the question becomes, what do we do when we've lost our footing? And that is where the 3 jewels come in. Taking refuge. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. The Buddha is not the picture on the wall, not the solemn figure that sits under the tree. The Buddha is our own, every one of us, our own capacity for awareness. We're all Buddha. Imagine you're in a heated argument. For me, I tend to grind. Take deep breath, jaws clenched. I need to say my point. Then suddenly, I say, I'm angry. My ego wants to win this argument. That moment of awareness is Buddha. I'm not identifying with my anger. So taking refuge in Buddha means trusting my own awareness more than my reactions. Taking refuge in the Dharma the Dharma is reality, everything, and the wisdom that teaches us how to respond to it. Whenever I fight reality, as I often do, wishing things were different, or angry with circumstances I have no control over, I create suffering. Taking refuge in the Dharma means asking, first recognizing what is happening. Buddha, taking refuge is, what is the response? How do I respond here? If I get angry, anger grows in me. If I behave appropriately and as I want to, clarity grows in me. So the Sangha, I never quite got what was taking refuge in the Sangha. I never quite got what was taking refuge in the Sangha. The Sangha is the medicine to one of modern life's deepest forms of suffering, loneliness and isolation. We often think we have to walk this path alone. Zen reminds us that we wake together. And taking refuge in the Sangha means recognizing that sometimes I need others. It could be a friend who listens without interrupting, without fixing. A family member who models patience. Or this room, all of us reminding us that none of us is doing it by ourselves. So that is what it means to take refuge in the three jewels. I should have spoken a lot slower.
Do it again.
That's a good idea. So it's very short. I'm sorry. I should have been much slower. So what I want everyone to see is the 5 mindfulness trainings, the 5 beautiful precepts, as Thich Nhat Hanh calls them, and the 3 jewels are not separate teachings. They're one continuous movement of a Zen-inspired life. The precepts show us how to live, and the 3 jewels remind us where and how to return whenever we forget. Imagine you're at home, your partner, your child, your dog, in my case, begins speaking to you. Your instinct is to glance at your phone, but instead you put it down and give them your full attention. In that moment, you're practicing mindful consumption. You're practicing deep listening. So how did that work? First, you notice your distraction. That's Buddha. Then you recognize what was the appropriate course of action. That's the Dharma. And you being present to another person is a refuge for that person. And that's the Sangha. Every mindful moment contains all three jewels. So, this is my monastery. It's where my life is unfolding right now. I'm reminded I don't need to wait for the next Dashin to begin living a Zen-inspired life. When I go home, I will try to wash my dishes, paying attention. When I meet somebody, I will try to be present to whatever they have to say. And if I get angry, I won't throw it at somebody else. This is an amazing, precious life. Thich Nhat Hanh says, walk on this earth as though your feet are kissing the ground. How beautiful is that? Treating the earth as it should be treated. This Zendo gives us a place to practice together. Outside there is where we practice for real. The real practice is when we walk out the door. Thanks, everybody. So we've got about an hour and a half for questions.
Thank you so much. That was such a beautiful and clear and organized explanation.
Thank you.
It was very lovely. So we will open the floor to questions and comments, and let's turn it on its head and start with online today.
Nice.
Is anyone on Zoom have a question or a comment?
Hi, I would like to, if I could butt in. I'm the ocean calling in from Cornwall, England. Reverend Patrick, thank you so much. That was incredibly beautifully presented. Even though I didn't catch all the words, I got most of them. I think I got the important ones, the three jewels and the precepts. And the way you integrated the living the Zen-inspired life by outside the doors of the Sangha was really significant. It seems so simple. It's not easy. And it's hard work, but it really is the way to live. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck in the World Cup.
Anybody else online? Sky.
Oh, thank you, Ungo. That was a wonderful talk. And I feel so inspired. I feel like your genuine sincerity and the pith of your comments really pushed me to feel into the tender places in my own practice where I need to put a little attention and emphasis, and grounding it right in these fundamental, essential principles. So I really thank you. I found that really inspiring.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'll circle around back to you if you're just thinking, but I'm going to start with Ken.
Thank you, Ungo. It was beautiful, and in deference to the World Cup, what was one of the things going through my head was, no Ungo, no Dharma talk. But one thing struck me, and it's been something I've been thinking about, and your talk kind of crystallized it in a way for me. In our society today, the religions that we grew up with start with one. Okay? The days of Christmas, in the Jewish Passover, who knows one goes way up to who knows 12. And there's all these numbers in Buddhism, the 3 poisons, the 3 treasures, the 4 noble truths, the 5 skandhas, the 6 paramitas. I'm not sure if there's a 7, but there's the 8-way noble path. And I was always thinking about that. And then it kind of hit me, a different but appropriate term, which is not 1, not 2. Mm-hmm. So Buddhism kind of starts us with a base 3. It's not yourself and there's no duality. Okay, let's start with 3. And I love that coming out of your talk. So thank you.
Thank you. I believe the Sangha member is writing up a cheat sheet of numbers. The 3, the 2, the 4, the 5.
The Buddha Barney is going to teach us numbers.
Yes.
That could be a counting song. Ooh, somebody do it. Okay, anybody else?
Ungo, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So heartfelt, which you always express from your heart. I really appreciate that. And I love the way that you integrate the teachings, as they're all meant to be, that we sometimes can compartmentalize and separate and see one is, I haven't quite mastered this before I go on. And I love how you talked about refuge and the 5 mindfulness practices, not different, very, very deep practices. And I love the simplicity too. I feel like as practitioners, it is simple. We complicate it. The Dharma is freely given in a very simple way, but we layer it with all of the ways that we think it should be more this or that. So I so appreciate how you express it. It's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let me echo that. It was really a beautiful talk, and so impactful while so simple, and that's in and of itself sort of a model of, for me, of not overcomplicating things. It's so easy for me to do. One thing that came up for me when you were talking, and some of you have heard me say this before, but before I came to the Zen Center, and it's been probably 15 years for me now, I didn't know that I needed community. I didn't even know it was missing from my life. I had friends, I had good connection with family, but there's something different in a community of like purpose, like practice, that that really filled something in me. And I think that, you sort of touched on that too, about the importance of the Sangha. So thank you again. It was a beautiful talk.
Thank you.
And the fact that you can sometimes be hard to understand is really great for mindfulness.
Thank you, Ungo. Appreciated that. I really liked what you said about anger arising and noticing and not putting it out there, right? And also, I would add to that, where do you put your anger? I guess that's a question.
Would anybody like to respond? I guess. Since I started this, I used to rage out a lot, and I don't think I've ever raged out in the last 7 years. Oh, actually once. Not rage, not really hostile, but rageful. And when anger arises, I tend to, most of the time, recognize that it's only harming me. And it just goes, it's been a rough week for me, not really rough, but I've had some relationship struggles. And in the past, I would have been extremely angry with the person that I'm struggling with. And I'm not, it's my son. I feel, I was very angry at what I felt was being manipulated. But I recognize that he's not that, he's just making poor choices. It's beyond him. What's the point in me getting angry? We don't talk. I'm not going to hurt his feelings. If I'm angry, I'm just going to be wanting things to be different. I have to be in acceptance of it. Yeah. I'm not saying I don't get angry, but I recognize it immediately, and I will mostly not take it out on anybody else. Mostly I laugh.
Mostly you laugh?
Yeah. Because I recognize myself in it, I used to love to push buttons. In other people, yeah. I used to be self-righteous on the train. When someone would light a cigarette, I gotta go straighten them out, Seriously. Getting angry doesn't help.
Could you talk more about what you do now and how that...
Could you talk more about kind of how that change happened and what you do now? Like when you feel anger?
The change happened over years of sitting in regular practice. And the first part is Buddha recognizing it and catching it. That's the hard part. Once I recognize that I'm angry and I'm taking it out on somebody, the solution's easy. It's just recognizing it when it arises. I used to be so quick to respond, I got something to say. But recognizing it is the really hard part. Usually we recognize it. Usually I used to recognize it when it was too late. But it's never too late, Everything can be fixed. Not everything can be fixed. Not fixed maybe the way we want it, but it can be put right.
I share that with you. That has been a long learning for me too, because I said I share that with Ungo, and because you say something before you even know you're angry. You make a cutting remark before you even realize you put somebody down before you realize, because you don't even recognize that emotion that's coming up in you. And I feel like a lot of the training, the sitting training we do, is about, as you said, slowing it down. Just wait. You know, like grandparents used to say, count to 10 before you say anything. But yeah, okay. Anyway, but yeah, that's so key. It is. Okay, someone else.
I guess just.
This is so they can hear you.
Oh yeah, I just I think what I got from the main message was like what you said. It's a Buddha just counting to 10 and having the grace of not blowing up and having another relationship ruined. I've had that experience a lot through my life. When I was coming over here today, I was like exploring Buddhism on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, Pure Land Buddhism. If I can attain enlightenment by just saying the name Buddha, why do I need to do anything? Like, nothing. And then I'm like, oh, well, I can also have a Buddhahood by doing nothing as well. I don't even have to say the name of the Buddha, And I think that was what I saw there from your conversation, was just by the kind of the practice of mindfulness allows for a Buddhahood. So that's what I got from you today. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
I think it can all be boiled down to one precept. Be kind. Just be kind. Not another question, I hope.
She's a tough one. So you talked about fearlessness as well. So can you say more about that? Fearlessness, how you work with that.
Fearlessness. I spent my whole life in fear. I grew up in fear of not fitting in, not being, living up to the expectations of my family, just full of fear, not socially adequate. I still got a lot of fear, but I don't run from it anymore. I don't drink or drug it away, I deal with it, face it head on. The only way to face a problem is right through it, There's so many beautiful sayings in this practice, My favorite is, it's not a problem. The only reason it's a problem is you call it a problem. And if it's a problem, you need a solution. But if it's life, it's just life. You don't need a solution. You just keep on living, Fear is there, but deal with it differently. Thank you.
Anyone else? Those of you online, you've had a chance to think a little. Do you have any further things to say? Okay, well, I think we're done. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate everybody's presence here.
We have, for anybody who's new, kinship hour.
Nice to see you.